In this lecture, we are going to discuss about the construction of three-phase induction motor. So before that, we will see the general principle. Okay. So in general, the conversion of electrical power into mechanical power takes place in the rotating parts of an electric motor. Okay. In the case of DC motors, the electrical power is directly conducted to the armature through brushes and commutator. Hence, the DC motors are called as conduction motors. Whereas in the case of AC motors, rotor receives electrical power by induction and not by conduction. So that's why these motors are called as induction motors. So induction motor can be treated as a rotating transformer. So the primary of the transformer is similar to the stator of the induction motor, and the secondary of the transformer is similar to the rotor, whereas here the rotor is free to rotate. Okay. So in most of the industrial drives, the commonly used motor is a polyphase induction motor. Okay. So now we'll see some of the advantages. The induction motors are very simple in construction, easy, extremely rugged and almost unbreakable, and it is of low cost and it is very reliable, and it has sufficiently high efficiency. Okay, under normal condition, no brushes are needed. Okay, hence frictional losses are reduced. Reasonably good power factor. The power factor is also good, and then it requires less maintenance. Unlike synchronous motor, it does not need any additional motor for starting. Okay, it is very easy to start the induction motor. So now we'll see some of the disadvantages. Its speed cannot be varied without sacrificing its efficiency. And similar to DC motor, the speed decreases with increase in load, and the starting torque is lesser than the DC motor. Okay, this is the starting torque of induction motor. So now we'll see the construction. So the induction motor basically consists of a stator and a rotor. Stator is the stationary part and rotor is a rotating part. So first we'll see stator. The stator consists of three main parts. One is the stator frame or the outer frame. Second one is the stator core, and third one is the stator winding. So now we'll see the stator frame. So stator frame is the outermost covering. Okay, this is how your stator frame will look. So this is similar to yoke in the case of a DC motor. Okay, so it is made up of steel. So it is the outermost covering of the three-phase induction motor, as I said. Its main function is to provide support to the stator core and the stator windings. So inside the stator frame, the stator core and the stator windings are housed. It provides protection as well as mechanical strength to all the inner parts of the induction motor. And the frame is made up of steel. Okay, either die-cast steel or fabricated steel. So the frame of the three-phase induction motor should be strong and rigid. So this frame is very important because it acts as a protective covering. At the same time, it gives mechanical strength to the entire machine. So it should be strong and rigid, as the air gap length of three-phase induction motor is very less. That is, the air gap between the stator and the rotor is very less. Now we'll see the stator core. Stator core is made up of stampings. Okay, all the stampings are stamped together to form a cylindrical structure. So inside the stampings, slots are punched. Okay, so the slots, these yellow color is a slot. So these slots are semi closed slot. One side is closed and the other side is open. So inside the slots, stator windings are placed. Okay, so the entire stator core is placed inside the stator frame. So this is a stator frame. So inside the stator frame, this stator core is housed. Okay, so the stator core is built up of high grade silicon steel stampings, and in order to reduce the eddy current losses, the stator core is laminated, and then the stampings are of 0.4 to 0.5 mm thick. Okay, all the stampings are stamped together, as I said earlier. All these stampings are stamped together to form a cylindrical structure, and then it is housed in the stator frame. Okay, so now again the slots are punched inside the stampings in order to house the windings. So now we'll see the stator windings. The windings are placed inside the slots, and the windings are either star connected or delta connected. Okay, so this is how the windings are placed inside the slots. So now, in general, a three-phase AC supply is always given to this stator winding. So once the three-phase supply is given, rotating magnetic field is produced in the stator. Okay, so the windings are always bound for a definite number of poles depending on the speed of the motor. So that is, if the poles are more, then the speed will be lesser, and vice versa. So because ns is given by 120 f by p, the speed and the poles are inversely proportional to each other. So when a three-phase AC supply is given, as I said earlier, the windings produces a rotating magnetic field. Okay. So now we'll see rotor. There are two types of rotors. One is a squirrel cage rotor, another one is a phase wound rotor. So the motors employing squirrel cage rotors are called as squirrel cage induction motors, and the motors with a phase wound rotors are called as phase wound motors or wound motors or slip ring induction motor. So in general, there are two induction motors, two types: squirrel cage induction motors and slip ring induction motor, depending upon the type of the rotor employed. Okay, so this is a frame and this is a stator core. Okay, so now this is the rotor. Okay, rotor is also cylindrical in shape. It consists of rotor conductors and rotor frame. It consists of a slots. Okay, so inside the slots, rotor conductors are placed, and both the stator and the rotor are mounted on the same shaft. So this is a shaft. Okay, so it consists of laminated cylindrical core. Okay, it is also made up of steel. Okay, so now the slots. So these are the slots. Okay, as I said earlier, the rotor is also cylindrical in shape. The slots are placed parallel to each other. Okay, these are slots. So these slots are again semi-closed slots. As in the case of a stator, one side is closed and the other side is open. So inside the slots, rotor conductors are placed. Okay, and then these conductors are, so conductors are short circuited with the help of end ring. So this black color is the end ring. Both the sides, the conductors are short circuited by end rings, so that we will not be able to connect any external resistances in the case of a squirrel cage rotor. Okay, so this is what we have discussed. It consists of parallel slots. Okay, so the slots are used for carrying the rotor conductors. So here rotor conductors are bars and not the windings. Okay, rotor bars, and they are made up of aluminum or copper or alloys. Okay. So these end rings are made up of copper or aluminum again. Okay, so that we will not be, it is not possible to add any external resistance. Okay, so these external resistances are mainly added for starting purpose of the motor, and also for the purpose of speed control of induction motor. Okay, and then these rotor slots are given as slight skew. Okay, as in the case of a stator. So the skewing is mainly done in order to reduce the humming sound. Okay, some sound will be produced. So in order to reduce the humming sound, and it provides smooth and noise-free operation, and at the same time it will reduce the locking tendency of the rotor. So here there is a high possibility that the teeth of the rotor and the teeth of the stator get attracted towards each other. Okay, so due to magnetic locking. Okay, so this can be avoided by giving a slight skew. So now advantages of squirrel cage rotor. The squirrel cage rotor is cheaper and the construction is robust, and there are no brushes up, so it reduces the risk of sparking. Its maintenance is less, the power factor is higher, and the efficiency of the squirrel cage rotor is also higher. Okay, so now we'll see phase wound rotor. So this is the construction of the phase wound rotor. So similar to the squirrel cage, this also comprises of the slots. Okay, this is a cylindrical structure, consists of the slots. Okay, slots are given a slight skew, placed parallel to each other, and again this is a semi-closed slot. One end is open, other end is closed. Here instead of rotor bars, we are using windings. Okay, so these windings are always star connected. So the rotor is mounted on the shaft. Okay, this is a shaft, and the brushes and slip ring assembly is provided. Okay, here, So these using this arrangement, we can add external resistance to the rotor circuit. So this is also called as a slip ring rotor. Again, it consists of a cylindrical core. Okay, and it is laminated to avoid eddy current losses. And it consists of semi-closed slots. Okay, it carries three-phase insulated windings. So the windings are always connected in star. Okay. And then the slip rings are mounted on the shaft with brushes. Okay, this is the brushes and slip ring arrangement. So the brushes are connected to the variable resistor. Okay, externally we can connect the variable resistance. So the function of the slip ring and brushes is to provide a means of connecting external resistor in the rotor circuit. Okay, the main purpose of these two is to enable the external resistance to be added to the slip ring rotor. Okay, why we need external resistance? So because it increases the starting torque and decreases the starting current, and we can also use additional resistance for speed control of the motor. Okay, these are the two uh, main purposes during starting and also used for the speed control. So now here again the rotor is skewed. It is made up of mild steel. Okay, it is placed on the same shaft. The shaft is mainly used to transfer the mechanical power. Okay. So now the advantages are high starting torque and low starting current. So this can be achieved by adding external resistances. And then for controlling the speed of the motor, it is easy to control the speed of the motor in the case of phase wound rotor. Okay, because external resistance can be added in the circuit.